Appreciate you coming back on the show. Welcome back to the show. Sorry that you had to jump in when Lloyd was talking about his extracurriculars.
Oh, it gets worse than that, Coach. That was the G-rated version.
But, yep. Thanks, Coach. Welcome back. How are y'all? How's the morale? How's the team feeling? We talked a little bit about this early in the show. Y'all have played really good baseball. Like, really good baseball for 3 games against a really good team. And at the end of the day, there's a couple plays that went the opposite direction of where it needed to go. Or y'all, it would be a whole completely different conversation. What's the feel right now between the staff, the players, and moving forward? Because the reality of it is you have 3 games left, and these are 3 biggest games of the season.
Yeah, tough end result as far as the series, and I don't know that I've actually ever had one like that. Friday, I mean, we thought we completely dominated the game, and 2 outs, 2 strikes, nobody on base, and Griffin, in my opinion, is the best relief pitcher in the SEC, and I'm sure the statistics back that up this year. Hard to let that one get away, and especially in the way that it did, where it was walk, hit by pitch, and then the swinging bunt play. But credit to Alabama, scrappy team. Was proud of the team for bouncing back on Saturday and playing as well in the game as we did. And then, yesterday, we lost 4-3. I just would call it kind of like a normal game. I thought our pitching staff did a really good job of keeping us in it. Offense tried to mount a comeback and fell up a little short. But the guys played hard, competed, invested, quiet bus ride. I think for 2 reasons. They're obviously disappointed, and they laid it out there this weekend.
Yeah.
It just didn't go our way. Now, as far as going forward, that's all that you can do. And, we're going to keep playing until somebody tells us we can't. And, looking at it, we obviously have work to do, and this is not being just an optimist. There's actually a little more of a path there than you would think. And it's good in one sense that we're still going. On the other side, it makes it even tougher to swallow Friday's game, So we'll get back to work tomorrow. Players had the day off. And full speed ahead. We're happy to be at home. We played it well at home the last couple home series. Fans have been great, which is something that you expect here with LSU baseball. They've really showed up the last couple home series, and hopefully counting on them to do that again this weekend.
Coach, you talked about your path, and we talked about that as well. We're going through the standings of the SEC, right? There's probably only 5 teams. Well, let's say 6 teams. Let's throw Mississippi State in there. 6 teams that are guaranteed a winning record in conference, which means there's 8 teams that are going to be 500 or below, right? And I think to your point, it's a very tough conference. People are beating up on each other. Last year, the SEC got 10 teams into the tournament. I would imagine that this year would kind of follow suit, which to your point gives you guys an opportunity to make the postseason. You have a little bit of wiggle room, I would say. Not much. You have a crack, but you have more opportunity to make this postseason run, I think, than people think, right? And so, obviously, a sweep would be the ideal, 13-17. If you end up going 12-18, and you go and you have a couple, game or 2 you win in the SEC tournament, do you think that's enough potentially to get y'all into the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think we're still in the conversation is how I would answer that question. As I would say, probably, 12 of the 14 teams in the league are. I went through this stuff pretty heavily last night because I had to send some notes to the regional advisory committee. And if you're just looking at RPI and RPI top 50 wins and wins against teams that are going to be considered, for the tournament, in a normal year, if the league record was a little better, this wouldn't even be a conversation because that Houston College Classic, there's a win there against Texas, who's in second place, I think, in the Big 12, or maybe even first. I hadn't checked the standings. Louisiana Lafayette is winning the Sun Belt. There's a win there. Louisiana Tech is right above us in the RPI. We beat them 11-1. And then, we didn't win some of these series but there's a ton of wins against teams that are above us in the RPI. So we definitely have a case. Do I think we're one of the best 31 or 33 at large teams in the country? 100%. There's no doubt about that in my mind. It's just, how are they going to evaluate it? Now, all we can do is what we have in our control, which is try to play well this weekend. And just like last weekend, we're playing a team in a really similar spot. And so, what do we have the benefit of? We've had a better non-conference than they have. We have a better overall record than they have. I haven't looked at much of the metrics, but it comes down to, if you win the weekend, you're going to finish tied with them with the tiebreaker. So that's one team figuratively you should be ahead of. Who knows what's going to happen with Florida,
right?
With overall record thing.
And they got to go to Kentucky. They got to play against Kentucky next week too.
I think they're at Georgia, actually.
You told me it was Kentucky? Who told me it was Kentucky?
Which is
Georgia, same thing.
I think Vanderbilt's Kentucky, but there you go. It's like, and Ole Miss is a good team. This is just not like anything else in college baseball. And we're not making any excuses. We are where we are, and guys are still playing hard and they're still fighting. That was a really tough deal on Friday night. And like I said, there's a lot of life value in how they responded on Saturday, and then Sunday we got beat. And you win the game on Friday, you can live with Sunday a little bit easier. But it's full speed ahead, and let's do what we can do with what we can control.
Coach, now listen, I'm not here to pour any salt in the wound or anything, but knowing the baseball mind that you are, and as much baseball that you know, and that you are still learning, that you still push, and you still challenge yourself to get better every day, if you will. If we go back to Friday night and how much of a tough loss that was, and now I'll sit here and say that I think it's pretty obvious, especially with what he did the week before, that he earned the length of the leash that he had. But I would imagine a lot of the thought process going into the 8th and 9th that day was, if I don't have to use Griffin right here, I won't use him. Was there ever a thought to bridge to Griffin with a different arm, or was it, Christian, I need you to get here? And like I said, he earned the leash that he got by what he did and how heroic he was the week before. But was there ever a thought to, man, if I could get someone else in there before Griffin, or if I could just not have to use him at all this game, I would love to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, going through the whole thing, we were up 5-3, and Christian, got off the field with first and second and 2 outs. And, going into the series, I felt like we needed to win 2 games. If we won 2 games, we were going to be in a really good spot. And so the thought was, if we extended the lead, then we would keep rolling him back out there and go hey, this is going to be his bolt, kind of like the Texas A&M game last weekend. And he'd done such a good job with that. And, we haven't extended a ton of leads, but there you go. Milam hits a homer. I don't remember, somebody else Kling got on base. We bunted him over with Milazzo, and then Tommy hit a double, and boom, it's 7.
Right.
And then, were we trying to maybe get through with Holden and Griffin until Saturday? Absolutely. And I don't know that I would necessarily have done that if it wasn't for the circumstances that we're in as a team. But with the way Christian had been throwing the ball, not just last weekend, but the previous 10 or 12 innings, I felt good we could get through it. Well, gives up the homer, and we lost a little bit margin for error, but no problem. You have Griffin in and a 2-run lead. And then now they were both in the pitch count area where we could use both of them again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I felt good about that. And then Griffin executes, and credit them. They somehow pushed that run across. I'm not quite sure how that ball fell in the outfield with 2 outs to score the 6th run after the wild pitch or pass ball, whatever it was. But we got off the field with the lead. And then we get the first 2 outs, very, Griffin-esque or Griffin style. And, then we have 2 strikes and nobody on base. And I'm sure the win probability was 0.1% at that point for Alabama. And credit them. They walked. They got hit with the pitch. And then we had the unfortunate play at the end, so tough deal. And like I said, walking out to the huddle, it was all right, this is about how you respond. And then, we all want to be in the postseason, but there's a lot of life that's really relevant right now that we got to make sure that we lock into, and they did that. And so wanted to win the series, but was proud of the bounce back on Saturday.
Seeing this game from ground level, from the angle that you get it in the dugout, it's different from obviously anything that we see on TV and the broadcast angle and all of that stuff. If there's a coaching point at all on the play that ended the game Friday night, in your mind, what is it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a really, really tough play. So first off, I would just say, hey, maybe we bite the slider a little bit more and get the strike.
Give me a call.
And block it and tag home plate. But, credit their amateur for old player for touching it. And then with Griffin, I mean, he kind of aggressively falls off the mound to the third base side. And so, I mean, he had a ways to go to get to it, which is why Alex beat him to the ball. And he did not hesitate at all. And then he did a good job getting to his right leg. I mean, the guy was kind of a jailbreak swing.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a whole lot of time. I don't believe there was time to set his feet and have a chance to record the out. I thought he got to his right leg good. I thought, the arm angle was good. I mean, the only thing I would say is maybe you grab it and you can go from over the top so it's a little bit more straight of a throw. So that way the runner doesn't come into play at all. And it hits him in the face, or hits him in a straight line.
Right.
But that's really tough at game speed. That's like saying, hey, to a quarterback that's got to get rid of it in 3 seconds or he's going to get trucked. Like, hey, you should have saw the coverage they were disguised in and thrown it, over here.
Right.
So tough play. We asked for the review, and I actually had a little hope we were going to get it.
I did too. I mean, it looked like he had
Definitely had a case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with how quickly they got back and just said no interference. The explanation I got is they were already looking at the play, anticipating we were challenging it. And I was like, well, still, you can look at it for longer than 8 seconds, and was not happy about that. But the explanation that I got is that the runner where the runner was at did not affect what they called that poor of a throw. And so I was like, wait a minute, he's either inside the line or not. And then they agreed with me. And then it was like, so this is basically your guys' judgment. And that was the explanation that I got.
Yep.
Did that ball come off the bat, the bunt or the swinging bunt, did it come off the bat and or roll further than what maybe you anticipated it?
I would agree with that. Now that you say that, and I think he kind of had to high step it and kind of keep going to get there. But looking at it afterwards, I still don't know that Griffin would have been able to make the play.
Yeah,
right.
And
I think he was the right one to make the play, 100%.
Yeah, but I agree. I mean, he ran a lot further for it, which is why I don't think he had time to set his feet. And instinctively, Alex, he did everything that he could on that play. And I hate it when that happens at the end of the game because there's 27 outs and I really don't like it at the end of that game because we did a lot of things well in that game. Obviously, we missed third base, run gets taken off the board. Well, it's not just that. You got one of your better RBI guys coming up with a man on second, and we'd extended that lead. So if you push another one across there with the run that's on the board, that might even change how the pitching goes for them for the rest of the game as well. And, so there were some things like that. I mean, TJ McCants in center field, man, he looked like you guys were running around out there making, and he won them the game.
Yeah, he
won
did.
the game on Friday night.
Yep. He did. And like you said, the way y'all responded or the way the guys responded on Saturday, Luke Holman having a Luke Holman-esque game sort of, right? Battled his ass off, but didn't have the strikeouts that he's had throughout the course of the year, but was able to get you deep in the game, was able to do the things he needed to do to keep you winning, and did the same thing, y'all, increase runs. And so that's got to, moving forward, right, moving into these last 3 games, has got to make you feel good. Hey, over the last 3 weeks, we've played really, really good baseball. We've played winning baseball. We've extended leads. We've played good defense. We've pitched really well. We've had a couple bad bounces go here or there. Y'all aren't far off. That's got to make you feel good moving into this weekend and into the SEC tournament.
Yeah, but we're confident, and we're confident we can win any game that we we strap up for. We dug ourselves a little bit of a hole against a tough schedule, and it's kind of just shrunk all the margin for error out of this thing. But we are playing better, and the players deserve all the credit for that, in terms of staying with this. And like I said, we know we want to, be a plus 40 win team, hosting regionals and going to Omaha and all of that. But the effort that they're giving to winning and staying committed to what they need to do to win has been good. And I think you'll see a lot of the same this weekend.
Coach, I want to ask you a similar question, just in a different part of the field that Jared had asked earlier. So, obviously, armchair quarterbacks and looking back after the fact is the easiest thing to do in the world, right? Hey, could have done this one, whatever. You play A&M the weekend before, lefty, righty, and you had a lineup for that weekend, and then this weekend you have lefty, righty, and the lineup gets changed. You make some changes. What went into those decisions? Obviously, analytics, matchups, all of those things are part of it. But what went into the decision of saying, hey, this is what I think's the best? Like, why change the lineup over the course of those 2 weekends?
Yeah, I think going to Sunday, I mean, we were facing a righty, and
right.
It was a much different pitcher than the previous 2 pitchers. And, frankly, with the way our pitching has been on Sunday, yeah, you got to score, but, you need to be able to catch the ball in the outfield. And we felt like they were going to put the ball in play a lot more and just trying to limit big innings, by getting Paxton back out there, who did a good job throughout the weekend of getting on base. We felt like we could match up later in the game and go, when they went to Alton Davis, we pinch hit Ethan Fry, and he hit a bullet right at the shortstop with guys on second and third. Now, if you get those 2 in and you do what you do the next inning, we have the lead. And just, Hayden struggled a little bit. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but going back to last weekend, he's had, 3 or 4 rough games in a row, and just thought it was a good day and a matchup to hey man, let's look at something maybe a little bit different here. And then, we were going to potentially use him when they went to Alton Davis, but the other guys did a great job against Alton Davis, so he was out of the game quickly. But yeah, it's just, what did we need to do to win that game is really how we set it up. And, it's not 162 games or 141 games where you have hey, this is a set lineup, or this is our guys, or we know what we're necessarily getting. And so we look at it critically. And, I'll be honest, this is one of the tougher years I've had where there's not a lot of separation between your 3rd best hitter and your 12th best hitter, to be honest with you. And so, it makes it a little more difficult. Yeah. I think we've played better offense, here over the last couple of weeks. But we played, Jake against Texas A&M, and we played Paxton this weekend, and thought Paxton did a great job of getting on base this weekend, right. And, turning the lineup over. So as far as the catching, sometimes it goes into who's pitching that day in terms of what we feel like we want to get out of them. And it didn't work. We scored 3 runs on Sunday, but I think if you look at how the 6 runs were scored,
right,
or the 7 on Friday, it's not just because the lineup was chalk. I don't buy into that.
Absolutely.
I don't buy into that at all.
Right.
Coach, I want to take you back to Saturday for a second. Obviously, it's hard to get off the mat from Friday's loss and how that all played out. But to have Luke Holman go, somebody that was formerly at Alabama, be able to make his homecoming, we were talking about it on the show, it's either going to be that Luke Holman that you said who snatched at the ball and had a whole bunch of piss and vinegar, or somebody that maybe might get to him a little bit. How crucial was it to have him in that moment for that Saturday to pick you up, kind of give you something else to play for in a sense where you can kind of wipe away Friday?
Yeah, I don't think it had a big effect on the team, but I'll just say this about Luke, that's who you want in one of those kind of games. You know what I mean? In terms of what are we going to get? We're going to get strikes. We're going to get competitiveness. And I only had about a 20-second conversation with him about going back to Alabama. This is about execution and you being yourself and attacking. And we actually had a little bit of an advantage. Obviously, there were some guys that were on their team last year, but it's a pretty different lineup and a pretty new lineup. And so, other than the catcher, Max Gussetti, who caught him all the time, there's a lot of new guys to that. I mean, I'm proud of him. It's a rivalry. It seems like Alabama and LSU people don't get along for a lot of reasons. And, he just went out there and competed. I think in the first inning, he was a little off with his command, and I just went out there and just kind of got him reset. And keeping that inning at a 1 was awesome. And he kind of navigated traffic, and those guys were battling. I'm sure they needed to win anyways, but I'm sure they wanted to beat him too. And took him a while to even collect a strikeout because they were fouling off pitches and fighting off pitches. But he gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings, and he's one of the best pitchers in the country. And my only complaint about Luke is we're only probably going to have him for 1 year. Other than that, he's awesome, and probably doesn't get recognized as much as he should with how consistent he's been for us.
Oh, Coach, one more before they pull the cane out on me. I am undefeated at Alex Box whenever I come to the game, so just put that in the back of the tickler file. Just let me know if you need me.
Yeah, why don't you show up Thursday?
Tickets are at the gate.
There you go. Yeah, be there, Lloyd. Yeah, don't say that stat and not show up to the game. Coach, we appreciate you coming on as always. Obviously, actually, before you go, I know you've been asked this a lot. Paul Skenes, we talked a lot about him on the show. Obviously, we've talked a lot about him over the last couple of years. But what he did in his debut, watching him pitch in his debut, he was electric. This crowd was electric on a team that hasn't been very hyped, right? That's probably the nicest way to say it. It feels like he's bringing some energy to a team that people desperately want to be good, and that's pretty cool to see. How was it from your perspective, having been behind the scenes with him?
Did you cry?
Yeah, everything about it was awesome. Kind of a cool story. We were on the bus going to Alabama on Wednesday afternoon, and I think that's when they announced it. I happened to see it on my phone. Well, like 2 years ago when we were going to Alabama, I remember like very vividly, thinking about, okay, is he going to go in the portal or not? The big righty from Air Force, you know what I mean? Like we needed starting pitching, for last year. And I very clearly remember it was that trip going like, okay, if this happens, this is the game changer. It's going to put us over the top with Dylan and Trey and those guys returning. And so 2 years has gone by fast. And I'm just super proud of him. I was able to text with him and text with his mom and his dad. And then, I got hounded by about 4 or 5 interviews about him on Wednesday and Thursday, in Pittsburgh, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they're super jacked about that deal, Had a bunch of them who I don't even know. I've only seen them in like forums like this, sending me pictures, full stadium. And I haven't heard many people. I haven't heard about the Pirates this much since Barry Bonds was playing for them. So
exactly, right? And that's I think the most exciting thing, right? They haven't had a pitcher like this to be able to sell out a stadium, to be able to have this much juice behind him for one team in a long time. I think it's a great thing for Major League Baseball. They have a guy that they don't have to force down people's throats. He's just that guy. He's dominating. He has an imposing presence. He's a great dude. He does everything the right way, and he's really good on the mound. I think this just promotes itself. Major League Baseball is in a really cool spot to be able to have that guy as one of their faces. So we were pumped. I know you were pumped. I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Where did the splinker come from? Was he hiding that last year?
Boy, what a pitch.
Yeah.
Kept that one in the back pocket.
Okay with the arsenal that was displayed at LSU last year. At least I am, Lloyd. You need to check yourself if you're not. So.
I was good with it. I thought I was going to see it at Wake Forest.
Yeah, kind of a cool thing about that game, his game on Saturday, though, like Connor Joe, the first baseman for the Pirates, he played for me at University of San Diego, and then the first hit he gave up was Miles Mastroboni, who's the player I signed at Nevada, like right before I left to go to Arizona. So that was kind of a cool day, and super proud of Paul. And man, I just can't wait to watch that whole deal unfold as he, was a 20-game winner, wins Cy Youngs, they go to the World Series, and he's one of a kind, and super proud of him.
Absolutely. I think we all are. All LSU Nation is as well. Coach, appreciate your time. Enjoy this weekend. So it's the last home weekend of the season. Fans go out and support the Tigers. It's senior night, obviously, or senior day this weekend. Good luck. We'll be watching. We'll be there. And we'll see you in Hoover and then the postseason baseball and in Omaha and all those good places that everybody likes to go visit.
Back in Alex Box when it's all over.
That's it, Coach. We appreciate it. Enjoy your night. Stay out the weather.
All right, guys.
It's bad weather.
See you.
Bye.
All right. Take care, guys. See you.